Hey, today's Arc Titan build will allow you to loop infinite charged melee attacks that can one-shot waves of red bar and some yellow bar mobs while being able to heal you after a melee kill. This build can be used in any season as it does not rely on seasonal mods. Timestamps below. The key to infinite melee kills relies on two factors. The first being the insurmountable Skullfort exotic helmet, which states, kills with an arc melee ability triggers health regeneration and restores melee energy. The second is the incredibly strong Titan melee of Thunderclap, which doesn't need to be charged to one-shot mobs. Simply use the power melee, delete the wave, rinse and repeat. It's incredibly satisfying to play with in casual content. The abilities you will need to run will be as follows. For your super, it's your choice. After that, we're going to want to have Thruster, Jump is your choice, Thunderclap, and Pulse Grenade. Thruster will allow you to stay agile as we zip around blasting waves of mobs with our melee. We are also choosing Pulse Grenade over Storm Grenade for the simple fact of Ionic Trace creation. As each pulse damages an enemy, one Ionic Trace will be created, limited to 1 per second, giving you 12.5% grenade energy, 12.5% melee energy, and 15% class ability energy. Since we are going to use the Spark of Magnitude, we can generate up to 6 Ionic Traces, which basically gets your ability energy back if placed correctly. However, in most cases, you'll likely generate 3 to 4, which is still amazing energy regeneration. For our aspects, we will use Touch of Thunder and Knockout. Touch of Thunder allows the Pulse Grenade to create Ionic Traces, and Knockout will allow our melee kills to amplify us. If we break an enemy shield or deal damage to an enemy below 30% HP, Knockout will also grant us 25% increased melee damage. For the Fragments, we're going to need to run Spark of Resistance, which gives us 25% damage reduction when near enemies. Spark of Discharge to allow our arc weapons the ability to create Ionic Traces. Spark of Shock to allow our grenade to jolt targets. And finally, Spark of Magnitude to increase the duration of our Pulse Grenade. Now let's dive into the mods. Your helmet will need to be arc so we can use Seeking Wells and Hands On. Seeking Wells is a quality of life mod that will cause arc wells we create to track to us and our allies. Hands On will give us super energy every time we get a melee kill. Gauntlets will need to be solar so we can use Impact Induction. Melee kills give 20% grenade energy on a 7-second cooldown. We will also place Elemental Charge here so we can become charged with light when picking up an arc well. Do note that any seasonal anti-champion mods will always take priority over Impact Induction. Your chest can be any type, but do ensure that you can cover all resistances needed. We will also use Font of Might for a 25% increase in arc weapon damage when we pick up an arc well. Your legs will be solar to have the mods Innervation and Recuperation. A quality of life low point cost mod set to give us health and grenade energy anytime we pick up orbs of power. We will also throw on Melee Wellmaker, creating an arc well every time we get a melee kill. And finally, for our class item, it'll need to be arc so you can use the mod Heavy Handed. Heavy Handed will give us 50% of our melee energy back after using it when we are charged with light. Now this seems very counterintuitive because we already have our exotic helmet which gives back 100%. Well, this is our backup plan because you'll either whiff or not kill the yellow bar mob every now and then. This gives us the ability to quickly recover our melee energy through means provided in this build if the worst case scenario happens. Heavy Handed for 50%, Ionic Traces from grenade damage and weapon kills, and the icing on the cake, the Arc class item mod 1-2 finisher. Spend 1/6 of your super and you will get back your melee ability. When it comes to seasonal mods, look to leverage whatever you have available to use as this build is flexible. This video was made during the season of the Seraph, so I'll be adding in low entropy superconductor as it allows my melee to stun unstoppable champions. I can pair that with the overload round seasonal mod for my arc SMG and run Arbalest in my kinetic slot, giving this build full coverage to any champion I may encounter. Your stat priority should be as follows. Resilience to 100, it currently gives 40% damage reduction. Next is Discipline, giving us a shorter cooldown on our grenade, and finally Recovery. Strength is not needed due to our exotic helmet and mods. Mobility is not needed because we're always amplified. And Intellect is not really needed because in the current sandbox, it's just kind of terrible to spec into that. Now for build variations to fit your playstyle. This comes down to weapon choice. Granted, we will always want to run arc weapons to synergize with Font of Might, but that weapon can vary based on what you like to use or the content you are facing. The choices we have are primary or special. If you choose primary arc weapons like an SMG or a pulse rifle, be sure to use the fragment Spark of Discharge, which will allow your arc weapons the ability to create ionic traces. We covered this in the main part of the video, but it's worth mentioning again due to our other option for special weapons. If you choose an arc special weapon like a grenade launcher or a fusion rifle, you will need the fragment Spark of Beacons. While you are amplified, which we will become after a melee kill, your arc special weapon final blows create a blinding explosion. The synergy between the fragments and weapons is significant. Be sure to leverage them with what you plan to use, primary or special. When it comes to the gameplay loop, it's very fun and very straightforward. Punch things. If you miss or don't kill the mob, either look to use your grenade to generate ionic traces or look to last hit the mob to get your melee back. It's honestly a really fun build that's perfect for any season of content. Hope you enjoyed today's video. See ya!